We've got a continuing lineup of fantastic speakers here. I'll welcome Matt Hayden back here in just a moment, and I see Eric Goldstein from CISA joining us. Eric, thanks so much for being here.
Great to be here.
We've got Cynthia Kaiser from FBI joining us. Matt, I'm going to turn it over to you, though, to go from kind of the private sector perspective, which we just talked to Brad about, to really digging in on government perspective, both from CISA's point of view, which Brad talked about, and then also from the FBI point of view, and really examining the cyber aspects in particular of this latest executive order on AI. So with that, the floor is yours. Welcome, everyone.
All right. So just a quick primer here. We've gotten some great instructional information from the White House recently on this. I forget how many pages it is because from the website, you know, if you hit print, it's either 107 or 111 pages. So when it gets to be that broad, we have to bring in the experts and say, okay, how did we get here, and what are the real kind of risks that you're seeing from your areas? And let me start with a quick introduction. So we have Eric Goldstein, who's the Executive Assistant Director for CISA, and his area of work is all of the cybers. Then we have Cynthia Kaiser, who is the Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI, also for the cybers. And so I do the cybers in cheek just because it feels like that's the way we have to open up a lot of these conversations. But Eric, let me turn to you and just say, you know, put us a little bit in context about what led us this way with the AI executive order, and just what were you kind of seeing in the cyber domain?
Yep, absolutely. So first of all, thanks to Suzanne and the team at Cipher Brief. Matt, great to see you. And Cynthia and I share a stage. It feels like multiple times a week, but always great to partner with Cynthia and our great colleagues at the Bureau. You know, I think the AI executive order is really a reflection of both the extraordinary development and acceleration of AI use cases across every aspect of our economy, and a recognition by the breadth of the administration that we need to simultaneously make sure that we are maximizing the benefits of AI systems while recognizing and managing the breadth of potential risks and harms. And I think cybersecurity is a great exemplar of that tension, where we know already that there are really powerful cybersecurity tools that are going to enable many of us and our analysts to write better software, find vulnerabilities more quickly, match or exceed the pace of the adversary, and we need to enable these pro-defensive use cases in a really thoughtful way. At the same time, we know that AI systems are already being deployed in production across every critical sector of the economy, and these systems certainly have the potential to be misused or accessed by our adversaries. And finally, we know that our adversaries are likely already investing in using AI systems to execute malicious cyber activity more quickly, more scalably, and perhaps even using novel tactics that we are not prepared today to defend against. And so the AIEO really calls us to focus on each of those aspects. I know we'll walk through it in some detail, but the focus on how do we use AI systems to enable cybersecurity? How do we help operators across every sector to use AI systems in a secure way? And how do we make sure that we are minimizing the risk of malicious actors using AI systems to undertake malicious cyber activity? And we have to do all of that simultaneously and really quickly, given the remarkable acceleration of these systems and the use thereof.
All right, and Cynthia, we've heard it from the FBI director recently that there are some threats from AI that they're seeing from his lens. Can you speak up just a little bit to add on to Eric from the FBI perspective?
Certainly. So I think we're thinking about AI in two different ways. One is where we're anticipating and defending against those threats from those who use AI. And so I think that's kind of what you're alluding to here. But like on that flip side, we're also working to defend the innovators of AI who are here from attacks that we may see coming from abroad. So diving deeper into both of those, the main nation state actor that we see is China, where we do see China not only developing their own AI, but also seeking, like they've done for decades now, to actually steal our technology, to steal our innovation. And I think we can go deeper into what some of those attacks on our AI systems might look like. But we also see criminals looking to make it more scalable. So figure out how to develop really good spear phishing messages so it doesn't hit all of our kind of spider senses, right? This seems odd. Now they look legitimate, they look good, or even develop spear phishing lists. We've also seen some code development, but I think that's been more where you're taking probably like a JV squad and making it more varsity. You're not taking somebody who's never played and making them capable. So, we're looking at all of these different areas, and where it really boils down to is we're seeing a lot of folks like one-offs, two-offs play around and try to figure out how to make this better. But what we're worried about is that next step that's coming, and how do we defend against it?
Oh yeah, and I was going to pivot then to Eric. You guys put out a great roadmap for AI, and one of those lines of efforts was just mentioned by Cynthia. The kind of combining some of these topics is malicious AI. And so I'll just tee it up for you. Can you just give us kind of a primer on what led to the roadmap and how you're using it, and just kind of hit on the malicious AI aspect?
Absolutely. We know that right now there are extraordinary business imperatives to move really fast in developing, designing, and releasing new AI systems, right? And we are seeing both established frontier foundation labs as well as a robust ecosystem of innovative startups moving really quickly to both build on existing products and develop new and innovative ideas. But we also know that pace of innovation introduces some real risks that we are going to unlearn some of the lessons of the past few decades, hard-learned lessons about how to design, develop, maintain, and deploy software securely. And after all, we know that AI is ultimately just software, albeit a very powerful type. And so what we're trying to accomplish with our joint guidelines, which were joint sealed by federal partners like FBI and NSA, along with an unprecedented 21 cyber defense agencies across 18 countries, is really to establish a baseline of how organizations around the world can develop, design, maintain, and deploy AI systems in a maximally safe and secure manner. So we're establishing some reasonable expectations to say, we collectively want to see the innovation, we want to see the growth, we want to see the prosperity that we think will be unlocked by these systems, but we have to do it securely. And we also know that a lot of the principles that we're evangelizing for AI security aren't new or novel, right? They're ideas like vulnerability, transparency, and disclosure, red teaming, code reviews, things that we know how to do in the traditional, I'll call it software context, but are at risk of being lost at times given the speed in which AI systems are being developed and deployed, and the belief in some corners that perhaps AI systems are different and don't require the same level of security, attention, and scrutiny as more traditional software does, which is far from the case. In fact, the opposite is true, given the power of AI systems. They actually require a greater level of scrutiny, security, and control to make sure that we are managing the risk of unauthorized access or unauthorized use.
And Cynthia, just pivoting off of Eric's comments, a lot of what we think of when we've thought about cybersecurity in the past, especially with a law enforcement angle, is IP theft or trade secrets theft or some level of espionage. How does that play with the AI aspect of it? Is it purely just trying to get through that malicious angle, or is there something more there?
I think there's a lot more there, right? In terms of as we're kind of thinking about cyber activity from that law enforcement perspective, you mentioned the espionage aspect where we have actors who are looking to steal technology or our innovation here. And yes, AI will help them do that. I think what we're more worried about, though, is the idea of destructive attacks becoming better. And that's not just what we've seen with the Volt Typhoon activity or other types of, or the water sector targeting we saw from IRGC in the past week or so. It's really about them being able to scale those types of activities for the really life-saving aspects that we need in our lives, but then also what you can do against AI systems in terms of that we're developing here in terms of making the models poisoning the well of the data. So creating uncertainty within the models or adding in scalable amounts of data that are incorrect, that make that model incorrect, or even say asking 10,000 queries of an AI model so you can take all those answers and build your own AI. So I think we're looking at this where it's not just stealing, I would call it destructive. It's AI enables our cyber adversaries to figure out ways to target our critical infrastructure in a more scalable, in a deeper way. But it also enables our adversaries are also going after our AI with the intent to steal it completely or to try to make it so that it's not reliable.
And right now, what we're hearing from technologists, Eric, is that right now we have a bit of a defender's advantage because the tools we have with AI applied really improve scale. Would you agree with that? And do you see that as kind of a moment to take advantage of?
I think that appears to be the case today, right? We are absolutely seeing valuable use cases for cybersecurity using AI systems, whether it is use cases like writing and testing code more securely and faster, whether it is systems like automating some of the low-level analyst roles in a security operations center. We're absolutely seeing those systems being deployed today to useful effect. But we also know that that balance is very fragile, right? And as Cynthia noted, we absolutely expect our adversaries to continue investing in how to use AI systems, whether open source or homegrown, to achieve their malicious goals. And so it certainly is the case that we should be appropriately maximizing our use of AI tools to benefit our own cybersecurity, while also recognizing that if we don't design and deploy AI systems themselves securely, we'll be undermining a lot of that advantage. And so, it can't be the case that we pull the emergency brake on our use of AI systems to improve our cybersecurity, but we also need to undertake uses of AI systems for critical functions with due prudence and due control to ensure that we are not introducing vulnerabilities that could be exploited by our adversaries.
All right, and Cynthia, from the defensive side, I think the FBI has multiple hats when they are protecting all sorts of areas of our way of life. Is there anything you'd like to add to that about just some advantages with AI right now from your perspective?
So I think the goal with all of our work on AI, and this goes back to the work in the executive order, the work that we're all doing and putting out, like how to make your AI more secure, which is really like the basics still matter. But where we're at now is trying to ensure that the cybersecurity balance tips towards AI making us more and not less secure. And that depends on us developing secure AI systems. It also depends on us ensuring that we are not letting our adversaries get their hands on or be able to manipulate AI programs or AI models in a way that enables them to get better and faster than the security defenses we are employing. And so, I think that there's this aspect now where yes, like AI is really good at identifying AI. So there's a little bit of protectiveness there in terms of like how we can protect against AI-driven attacks. But it's beyond that. It's looking to see how do we actually ensure that equilibrium is balanced in our favor, and we need to take really immediate active steps now to ensure that we continue to be there.
And I want to compliment both of you on all of the recent releases from both the FBI and CISA. There has been a lot more seals on those documents. And so we're seeing a lot of international partnership across the cyberspace with regards to AI. And Cynthia, I'll start with you and then pivot to Eric. Is there something that you would like to highlight, how you're seeing some of our international partners weighing in? And then we'll turn to Eric to get that as well from the CISA perspective.
I don't see how our international partners are weighing in as any different than how our international partners are working with us every day. I think there's just been an explosion of these partnerships over the last 2 years, where there's that recognition that we can't do all of this alone, that the operations and the takedowns can't happen unless we have our partners, taking down servers in one place, arresting somebody in another. And that just extends to AI, and extends, I think, to the secure by design, especially because everybody can get behind that. Everybody understands that we have to build more secure systems, and we have to employ them, or we have to deploy them in a way that makes sense and doesn't depend on kind of one human error away from having a problem across your system. And everybody can get behind that. And so it's a great building block for even deepening further some of those relationships that we've just seen such great results from for the past couple of years.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And what I would just add is, this is a global market, and even though a lot of the leading frontier labs in this space are based in the US, we are absolutely seeing innovation coming from around the world, and of course these systems are being deployed around the world. And so although the voices of agencies like CISA, FBI, NSA are highly persuasive within the US, this really needs to be a global effort. And I think that was the importance of our recently released joint guidance, is to say that across allied countries, in, as we say, every continent except for Antarctica, and maybe that's coming soon. We are acting with one voice here that we think sends a very clear signal to the global market to say, here is what we collectively expect as we embark on this journey in a fundamentally safe and secure way.
Well, and Eric, just to pick back to you, do you think you have all the authorities and engagement models, and CISA's done a really good job of building up like the JCDC and other vehicles to really get that operational cadence with industry? Does that extend to international as well?
It absolutely does. And of course, different federal agencies have different types of partnerships internationally. CISA, of course, is America's Computer Emergency Response Team, or CERT. And so we have those partners with cyber defense agencies around the world that play such a key role in that space, but that's complemented by the role of partners like FBI working with international law enforcement partners, NSA working with international intel partners, and together we can bring to bear that breadth of collaboration with foreign partners, because what we want to be able to do is send that clear signal that whether we are talking about design guidance, red teaming, vulnerability disclosure, that we are speaking with a common voice and setting forth a clear set of expectations across the community.
And so, Cynthia, you don't need an AI task force. You just need the folks you've got locked arms with right now to be along with you.
There are plenty of task forces. I'll just call out one since we're talking about the EO. The EO actually did call for establishment of a AI safety and security board that is being established by the Department of Homeland Security that will bring together government and industry partners to think through how we can drive together towards more guidance, more direction in this space, but certainly operational work that we do every day will continue.
Cynthia, do you need a task force as well? I mean, if we're handing them out.
You know what? I think we're good on all the task force. We'll just reuse another one that we're already in. But I think we can all agree that the most important thing we all need to do is actually start using the same words for the same things. And so I think, in looking at like how we bring everybody together and we talk about all of this and we're sharing our information, what we need to make sure is one person's not calling something, data poisoning, someone's calling it something else. And it's all like kind of, we all go to these conferences and we see, was that a new type of attack? No, that's the same one. We've just decided to name it something different. And that's what happens when you have these new technologies come up, is we all have to get on that same page. We have to level set, and then the collaboration mechanisms that we have are already going to be leveraged. And they're going to be leveraged well. So, I think that some of these things are just the basics that come with any kind of new technology. And luckily in cyber, we're really used to that kind of thing.
And so, Eric, with the EO being so long, and going through it word by word, if you do like the cyber word searches, I'm sure we missed something. Is there anything in that executive order that you want to make sure we didn't miss out on?
I'll just call out three quick things. The first is the role for CISA in coordination with and through the sector risk management agencies to do AI-specific risk assessments and provide guidance for each critical sector. This is really important because we know that every critical sector is going to, and is in fact already, using AI really differently. And so one size fits all guidance isn't going to make sense here. Every sector has different use cases, different risks, different mitigations. And so that work is kicking off now. The executive order, as most EOs do, give us really short timeframes on that work. And so we are pedal to the metal over here with the SRMAs, and certainly industry should expect engagement with and through the SRMAs to get feedback on that work. A second that I'm really excited about is a task to use AI systems to more quickly detect vulnerabilities on federal civilian networks. That's obviously work that we at CISA do every day to find vulnerabilities and drive remediation. Well before the EO, we were already thinking through how we can leverage the commercial market to maximize our use of these tools. But this will certainly accelerate that important work, and EO does require us to publish a report on our progress there. And so we're looking forward to benefiting both from the commercial sector, maybe some innovative new tools there. And then finally, the requirement for us to provide red teaming guidance for AI systems. We think it's really important that these systems, given their power and versatility, are subject to really rigorous red teaming to understand how an adversary could misuse or exploit them. And so we're going to work very closely with NIST and with industry to make sure that we have very clear guidance for cybersecurity red teaming, noting that the term red teaming can be a bit broader in the AI context, to make sure that we're driving the right kind of testing and rigor across AI providers.
All right, and Cynthia, just to give you a pivot to the law enforcement community, is there anything from the AI perspective that may have been triggered by the executive order that you guys are wanting to highlight, or some AI policy that you're working on?
I think it gives us the ability to talk about things we were already doing that should give people a lot of confidence in how law enforcement is deploying AI overall. So the executive order requires all departments and agencies to develop a body to coordinate and govern the use of AI internally. And the FBI had already created an AI ethics council for us to determine how can we use AI smartly on our systems, but really thoughtfully in a way that preserves the legal process, that preserves privacy among Americans, and just preserves all the things that are really important to us at the FBI to protect. And it gives, I think, Americans confidence that it's not going to be deployed onto our systems without that forethought, without that need to really come up with ethical uses and governance behind it, because we don't want it to be abused. And we're really committed to ensuring that that incorporation is in the best way possible towards the advantage of the American people.
Well, I want to have a little bit more fun question for you. So Eric, when you look at the organization that you are running, is there something you're looking forward to, a use case within your office? You're like, I can't wait till we get to AI. You know, I want to use AI to do X. Is there anything in there that's got you charged up?
I'll tell you a really simple one that I'm really excited about, and I do hope that we'll be able to deploy here in the fairly near term. You know, CISA and our partners issue a ton of guidance, right? At this point, I think we are issuing at least one advisory, if not multiple, every single week, and in fact, often more than that. And it's pretty hard, actually, if a practitioner has a question about a product, a vulnerability, an adversary, for them to actually peruse the breadth of our guidance and get an easy answer. And so I would love for us to have a natural language prompt where somebody can just query the breadth of our guidance and say, you know, what has CISA and its partners said about this particular APT actor, this particular vulnerability, this particular MITRE attack framework TTP, and then get a natural language response that summarizes the breadth of our advisories. That I think would be really cool, really useful, and actually something that I hope that we can do in the fairly near term.
Cynthia, you got a problem you want to solve with AI?
So I feel like that's such a real proactive one, Eric, and mine's going to sound so bureaucratic because I'm looking forward to doing less admin. But in truth, right, where like when you're in a process-based organization and we document everything and we want to ensure that we're doing everything the right way and that we have the right kind of things in place, being able to have all of that happen more automatically is going to free up our experts to do the things experts should do. So to be able to do the analysis that only a incredibly talented computer scientist can look at, to me, it's really exciting to think about that, like, but multiplied by all of our great employees, to know that they're going to be freed up to do that great work. That it's the reason we all work for the government. It's the reason we all come to work every day, that protecting our friends and family and our communities, and getting to do the fun stuff, to do the fun technical work, that the creative work that we want to be able to do. And AI is going to be great for us not having to do some of the things that are the time sucks as part of our day.
All right. Well, with the last few minutes, I'll just give you each some closing thoughts. Cynthia, you can go ahead and start, then we'll roll back over to Eric.
I just really appreciate being able to talk about this today, and talk a little more proactive. I know I get a chance to come on and talk about our operational takedowns, which we have really cool ones coming. Don't worry. But overall, I just really want to leave everyone with the idea that the FBI is being incredibly thoughtful as we engage with AI in our mission space, and are really working to ensure that we're doing what we can to protect American innovation and protect Americans along the way from any type of scalable threat, because I'm confident that cybersecurity balance is going to tip in our favor.
Thanks. All right, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I would very much echo all of that, and I would just note or amplify one of the points you made, Matt, which is, given the extraordinary trajectory and pace of AI innovation, now more than ever is a time for collaboration and partnership, and we are only going to be able to do any of this work, whether it is guidance, direction, assessments, services across the board, in collaboration with our partners in industry, right? Government is not going to hold the keys to manage risks from AI systems, right? That's going to come in large part from the organizations who are building these tools and using these tools in practice and for unique use cases. And so I do hope that we can build upon the gains of collaboration that we've seen in recent years, and really make sure that we're having truly transparent, reciprocal, multidirectional conversations about the risks we're seeing and the solutions for them.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you both.